Welcome to the Warehouse Diaries. In this episode, we're going to talk about what it's like working with your sister, the past businesses we've started, and 9 to 5 versus entrepreneurship.
Let's first talk about what it's like working with each other and how that has been for both of us. Everyone always asks us what it's like working with each other, and we've had many people say they can never work with family. But I don't know, sometimes I feel like it is nice to work with family because you kind of have that support that you can't really get from anyone else.
I think there's like a rule that some people like to stick to, which is never work with your family or with your partner. But honestly, I think with business, it's so important to trust whoever you're working with or whoever you're co-founding with. So I couldn't imagine it any other way.
Yes, there are lots of benefits to working with family, but also there are some downsides as well. But let's first talk about the great things about working with your sister. So I think for me is that emotional support, and you can just rant about anything and everything business related. And you just know the other person will get you. And you can kind of bounce ideas off each other and have no filter. So I feel like that is a great thing about working with each other. It's also kind of funny because not only do we work with each other, but we also live with each other. So we're kind of like with with each other for like 24/7.
Yeah, I understand when people find out that we're sisters and then they're like, oh my God, I could never work with my sibling. And yeah, we do argue, like, it's difficult to say because I think for us, we'll have like little arguments almost daily, but then we just get over them really quickly as well. So that's really normal for our sibling dynamic. I think for everyone, it's different.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we always get asked, do you fight a lot? The honest truth is, yes, we fight all the time. But that's what sisters are for. Like, you fight, you make up.
I think it's like, what do you classify as like an argument or whatever? I think we just get like annoyed with each other, or we'll be in one of our moods and
Yeah.
then we'll have a little like,
A little tiff here and there.
yeah, and then
Yeah, but
I don't know, the day goes on.
it's not nothing ever that serious. But yeah, it always get resolved really quickly. And usually it's just because we are like just fed up with each other.
It's mostly if we're stressed about something and then we don't communicate it clearly, or we do share what we're annoyed with and then that like annoys the other
Yeah.
person.
But yeah, I think it's very normal. If you're spending that much time with someone, you're bound to like it's inevitable to get into a argument. But yeah, it's all fun and games. But would you ever start business with a boyfriend?
That's such a difficult question because when I see other people start a business with their partner and then later down the line they separate and then the drama unfolds, it's like you think in your head, no, like I will never do that. But at the same time, your partner is someone that you're like one of the people you're closest to, if not the closest. So I just can't imagine being with someone and them not helping out in some way. You don't have to co-found with them and stuff like that, but I feel like your life bleeds into your business and your business is like there are periods of your life where your business becomes your life. It's difficult to say, but I think it is smarter not to start your business with your partner. But it's kind of like saying don't start it with your sibling. Although I do think blood is thicker than water. I do think I would trust my family over anyone, but maybe some people can't trust their family like
Yeah.
that. You have to make that intuitive decision.
Yeah, I think it depends on everyone because everyone's circumstance is different. But I always find it interesting when there is a business run by like a husband and wife.
I think husband and wife is like fine. I think boyfriend and
Oh, boyfriend,
girlfriend
girlfriend.
is a
Okay.
bit more
Blurry,
precarious
yeah, blurry lines.
and
For some people, it can work, but for others, I feel like there can be some kind of issues forming that can lead to resentment. I feel like that's like the biggest thing. Why people don't want to get themselves involved in business with their friends, with their close, family members, because it can turn messy.
it can be like the best thing
Yeah.
ever working together, but if it has to end in like a messy way, it obviously becomes the worst.
Do you think sometimes you get annoyed when I ask you questions like obviously after we clock out and then we go home and then I want to ask about something relating to the business, or do you ever get annoyed because of that? Because it's sometimes hard to mentally check out because you're with each other all the time.
I think it depends on the day. Like everything is so situational. We could talk till like 5 a.m. about a business,
Mm.
sometimes about something really exciting or something that we're really stressed about, and that is kind of therapeutic to be able to talk to someone so freely about it that understands pretty much 100% of what's going on in the business. Whereas sometimes if you're not in a good mood, you just want to clock off. But that's the thing with business, like you can't really clock off. And especially as we mentioned, we work together, we live together. I think mostly like we can celebrate all of our wins together. And then when things are difficult, we can rely on each other as well. So that's probably the number one best thing about working with your sister. And then just to wrap it up, the worst thing is, what would you say?
I think the worst thing is sometimes it can be a little bit too much, but I think that is due to miscommunication.
Yeah, I think it's like with any relationship, like with your partner, with your friends, with your family, you have to understand how to resolve conflicts. And I think our number one thing, just as being sisters and working together on a business, the biggest thing has been,
Understanding our differences.
I think, the differences in how we like to be comforted in a weird way. Like, how if I'm upset about something, like I like to be left alone, but when you're upset about something, you like to be comforted or you like to talk about it. And so that can kind of cause conflict sometimes because I think mostly before we didn't really understand. Like if I was upset, you would be like, "Oh no, what's wrong?" You would try to talk to me about it and like talk through it. And then when you were upset, I would just like leave the room and try and give you space because that's what I would like
Yeah.
in that situation. And so it's kind of like just meeting compromise. And I think the best thing to do is really have some space first and then come together and talk about it and work through it. Just learning, I don't know what it is, just how to work through
Have to work well together and
understanding each other's, like, it's not like a love language, it's like
oh, work
a work
language.
language
Let's talk
maybe.
about the
I
work
don't know.
language. Yeah. It's like
Screw the
it,
love
it
language.
yeah.
What's your work language?
Well, as sisters, I know exactly how to push your buttons and vice versa. We kind of have similar personality traits, but also quite different personality traits as well. For example, you're more of a risk taker and I'm more risk averse. And like other aspects as well, I can't make a decision to save my life. So there are strengths and weaknesses between us. So I feel like it kind of complements each other working in a business together.
If you are working on a business with someone else, it's so important to have shared vision, shared goals, values, and beliefs. And that's, yeah, we do share ultimately a similar goal vision for our business. So we don't really disagree on the big aspects of running a
Yes.
business together. So now we're going to talk about the past businesses that we've started before, like Skin. Rosie actually started a business first. This was right after you graduated uni.
So after graduate uni, I didn't really know what I was doing with my life. I was still searching for a job relating to my degree, and I kind of wanted like a creative outlet. And I remember one day I sat down and I was thinking maybe I should start like a side hustle. I was really obsessed with stickers and what is it, like planner stickers. So you basically get like a planner and then you decorate the planner with stickers, which is really fun. And that was like my obsession back in the day. And I remember sitting down with you and I said, "Oh my God, I'm really into this. And I've seen so many like other small businesses. Should I start this business?" And I remember you clearly saying, "Yes, I think you should really do it. Like you should go for it."
I don't remember this.
I remember this really clearly because I think you were the one who gave me like that support that I needed to really just get the wheels turning and running for that business. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go for it and see what happens. So yeah, I started that business. It was called Rosy Prints. And essentially, I was just designing stickers and printing and cutting them and shipping them out.
Yeah, and you were selling them on Etsy.
Yes, and Etsy was the platform that I chose to sell the stickers, and I started an Instagram account for it and really honed in like the planner sticker community on Instagram because that was like the whole community like back then to find other people who were interested because that's such a niche. Like you really had to go out there and go into the planner community to put your product out there and say, I also sell stickers that can make your planners look cute and pretty. That was my first glimpse of starting a business, and it really opened up my world to how although there were so many other sticker businesses, you can still stand out and still be able to sell something that you love. So, yeah.
I think whatever business we start, we like end up helping each other anyways. It's like inevitable. We have a lot of shared interest and similar things that we enjoy. So even though like sticker planning is very niche and something I've never heard before, but when I see my sister start getting into it, initially I'm like, okay, whatever. But then obviously as like weeks go on and I see that you're into it, I'm like, oh wait, I want to try it. And then like you just fall into working together.
Yeah, I remember you because I was not really good at like taking pictures for my Instagram. So I remember like I used to get you to like, oh yeah, get in this good lighting because you'll be able to get the shot. And also I used to stay up till like 2 a.m. because I had a 9 to 5 job and then till like 2 a.m. I used to cut the stickers using the sticker cutting machine. And if you know one thing about the sticker cutting machine, it is so, so loud. And yeah, I remember our mom used to be like, "What are you doing still up this late? I can't go to sleep." I'm like, "I got orders to ship out tomorrow." So yeah, it was a crazy time, but a really fun time.
I think the most stressful thing for you was that sticker machine when like it wouldn't work or
Yes, that used to be so frustrating because you literally like it wouldn't calibrate correctly, so you waste all your ink, which is expensive, printer ink, and you waste your like sticker paper as well, and just it's frustrating.
so like this sticker planning business idea is such a niche thing, but it was something that you were like already doing and then that like translated into you thinking, oh, that's a good business idea to start. But what made you actually be interested in even starting a business?
So back then, I used to listen to a lot of business podcasts. So that really inspired me, like to start something. When you listen to these podcasts, you get really inspired and you feel like, oh, if they can do it, maybe so can I. So that's what kind of gave me the idea to want to start a business. At that period of my life, I felt really lost because I just graduated and I felt kind of unfulfilled. I kind of resented my degree in some way because I was not landing like a grad job that I thought I would love. So, and all my other friends that graduated got like, their dream jobs, and I was just feeling stuck. But I wanted a way to feel kind of like productive. So I would still plan things on my planner, write a to-do list, and in the midst of listening to these business podcasts, I thought, yeah, why not just start a sticker planning business?
What made you end up stopping the business?
So I ran that business for a couple of years, I think maybe like 2 years. But then I really started feeling a bit drained from it because it was very manual labor. And yeah, I kind of got sick of that. And I decided although I learned so much from that business, I decided if I ever were to start another business in the future, I did not want to do anything like that labor intensive because for me, it was
I
exhausting.
think it's like labor intensive in terms of like the intricacies of like little sticker cutouts and stuff like that.
Yes, it was very time consuming as well to print the actual stickers first and then to run it through that machine. It took a long time.
Yeah, I think you decided like you didn't want to actually create the product necessarily from start to finish because that was where the bulk of your time was being spent on.
Moving on to your first business, let's talk about that.
I started my first business. I don't even know if I can say that I did start it, I
Yes, you
guess, even
did.
though I gave up after like a month, I think, but ultimately it was like a t-shirt business and I bought like this really expensive printer and I don't know what it is even called like
It's
this.
like a t-shirt printing machine. It was this
It
huge
was
t-shirt
like
printing machine.
it's like a printer and then this other machine where you would like it's so heavy and I don't even know. I think it's still in my parents' garage or something. But I remember starting that business. It was this summer after I finished college. So it was before I went to uni. And actually, I remember thinking, oh, I'm going to start this business so that I don't have to go to uni, which obviously didn't end up working out. But it's funny, there's like a correlation there with me not wanting to go to uni and starting a business. But as I was saying before, our interests and hobbies, they all bleed into each other. So during that time where you were starting your sticker business, you were listening to like those podcasts and interviews out loud on your laptop and I would be hearing them and I would think like, oh, can you just like turn that off? Like I'm not really,
I'm not
wanting.
really into business. Like, can you turn that video off? Yeah.
No, it was just like so loud because it would be like the motivational
Oh my
videos.
God.
It would just be kind of like aggressive. I would just be like, can we just have like some quiet? But eventually I started listening and I was like, oh, this is quite interesting. This is something that never really thought of before. Again, like we mentioned in our first episode, we were brought up to really pursue education, and that was like our number one goal. So when I started to learn about entrepreneurship through the podcasts you were listening to, I was like, this sounds really fun. I think the number one thing those podcasts and interviews with successful entrepreneurs really taught me was that yes, there are people who may have grown up in a wealthy family who already have a lot of business connections and whatever else, but there were also entrepreneurs who would share their background story and where they started from, where they didn't come from much or they didn't really have all the opportunities handed to them. And it made me think maybe you don't need like a lot of money, maybe you don't need investors to start a business. And again, I really was not even aware of like how to start a business, where to even begin. So when you listen to other people's stories, you start to kind of slowly like piece things together and learn a bit more and start to come up with your own ideas as well. And I think the biggest thing was just seeing like it is possible maybe for me to start a business as well. But anyway, yeah, I did end up going to uni after all, and I made one sale. I remember one t-shirt was sold, so thank you to that customer. Even though that business wasn't successful, it taught me a lot of things like how to make a website, how to research manufacturers, and ultimately, I learned that I was really passionate about starting a business. And from that one sale, it brought me a lot of joy. And it was definitely something that I wanted to do in the future. I did end up closing that business and going off to uni. I remember even like on the breaks where I would come back home, we would still be talking about like, oh, maybe we could start a business in the future when we're like 30, when we have enough money saved up, then we can start a business together. So now we're going to talk about the previous jobs we've worked. Both of our first jobs were during college, just working part time in retail. I worked in a cafe, which I didn't mind, but I think the people you work with really determine whether you enjoy your job or not.
Even if you don't like it, it's very important to have experience working. And I think it is like work even working retail, I learned so much. So even to this day, I feel like it is really good experience too. And I feel like I can tell whether some people that you encounter, whether they've worked in retail or not. Just the way that they come across and communicate across. I'm just like, yeah, that person definitely hasn't worked in retail. That is,
Really interesting.
yeah.
Everyone should work a retail job once in their life because hopefully it will make you learn how to be a more understanding customer and to treat everyone with respect. But yeah, there are definitely a lot of interesting stories I think everyone has from working in retail. There are completely unhinged customers, and also the people you work with are sometimes not the vibe.
But at the end of the day, it is a job and you kind of learn how to navigate through some difficult people.
Yeah, if you suck up to the manager, if you can get in your manager's good
Yes,
books, you're
bingo.
Gucci. You're
That is a life hack.
My only other part-time job was a pharmacy assistant, which it was fine. I think I realized since I was in school studying to be a pharmacist, realized that essentially working in a community pharmacy is just like working in retail, except it's like 100 times more pressure. Ultimately, I didn't really enjoy it. Do you need to enjoy your job? At the end of the day, you work a job to make money, to live. But I think that's like my
I
old mentality. Maybe I don't think that way anymore, but there's still a part of me that does believe in that, I guess.
I don't think you need to necessarily enjoy your job or like your job, but I think there needs to be aspects in your life that you feel fulfilled.
It has to be a balance overall. You
Yeah.
should feel happy in your life overall, and maybe you don't work a job that you love and are passionate about, but you can use the money to go and spend your free time doing your hobbies. I think I just know what it feels like, even though I've never worked full time in anything else other than this business. Like, I know just from the work experience that I've had, I know what it feels like to be miserable. So I wouldn't want that for anyone else. But at the same time, it's like I did stick being miserable in those jobs because it is kind of better to be miserable at a job and be making money than to just be miserable at home doing nothing. How did you find working in your 9 to 5 finance job?
Yeah, I think there was like a transitional period where I found it quite challenging from going to uni every day and then going to my 9 to 5. At the same time, I was so grateful to finally find a job in my field because I know that is so hard and that is what I was studying for. So it felt gratifying. Is it gratifying?
Yeah.
So I felt gratifying in that sense, but I find it kind of difficult to mingle within the social circles at work. Sometimes it can get cliquey. And yeah, that part I found really exhausting.
When people who do the least work get promoted.
Something like that. Let's talk about the benefits of working 9 to 5 and the benefits of working as an entrepreneur.
One of the biggest differences between working a 9 to 5 job and starting a business, you have a lot more autonomy. There's like pros and cons to both, but I would say the number one best thing about entrepreneurship is having more control.
Another great thing about working for yourself is you're doing something that you actually love. So your job doesn't necessarily feel like a job sometimes. But I think it's important to know that when you work for yourself, there's nobody like in your ear telling you, oh, you need to wake up at this time, you need to, push yourself. You got to be really self-disciplined otherwise.
I think the best thing about working 9 to 5 is that you can leave your job
At your workplace,
and not take it home with you. But I hear a lot of people say they still work at home, like they have to do their emails, they have to finish whatever project they're on. And I think we're both like this, where even working a retail job, we would still be stressed about things. Like we can't switch
completely.
off. But I think you do have less responsibility if you're working for someone ultimately.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the best thing about working 9 to 5 is the stability. You know, you're gonna get a paycheck, a monthly salary at the end of the day. You don't need to worry about, oh, am I gonna cover the bills? Am I gonna get a salary this month? So that's like the best thing. You can rely on your 9 to 5.
The worst thing about entrepreneurship is the instability and the unknown, I would say.
Yeah, you don't know if all your hard work, like all your blood, sweat, and tears, is actually gonna pay off at the end because you just don't know. We can't predict the future. It is very uncertain when you run a business. One year you can be doing amazing, and then the next year you can be doing really badly because there's a lot of ups and downs when you run a business. Nothing is for certain. And I think that also running a business can add a lot of pressure into your life because you do have that huge responsibility. If you don't do well, it's going to fall on yourself. You got no one else to blame but yourself. You got bills to pay, you got orders to fulfill, you got employees, you got a huge, not just yourself to think about, but everyone else. So that is a huge responsibility.
Growing up, I genuinely thought like 9 to 5 was the pretty much the only option. It was like the ultimate goal. Like finish your education, get that 9 to 5 job, and you've made it essentially. And I think that is a very immigrant mindset as well. And I always thought entrepreneurship were for people who were very extroverted. I don't know, like their archetype was the leader and just like very type A, knows exactly what they want, knows exactly what to do, likes to kind of like delegate tasks to other people. And I just didn't see that as something that I would excel in or something that I would be good at. And so it just didn't even seem like an option, even though in school we both did like business studies for GCSE.
No one knows what GCSE
GCSE, what do you mean?
is not called GCSE.
Is it not? Oh my God.
I don't think so.
Anyway, we're just boomers now, I guess, but it's whatever the exams you take when you're 16 in school. We took that as for It's like 2 years. Anyway, why am I explaining GCSEs? Did you think when you were studying, when you were doing business studies, like, oh, maybe I'll start a business one day?
No, because although I enjoy business studies, it was my favorite subject. When we learned about entrepreneurship as a topic at business studies, when our teacher asked us, what is entrepreneurship? And then the whole class laughed. Like, because we literally think it's like a made up word. Because back then, like running a business, being entrepreneurship was not cool. It was just like you think entrepreneurship is like made up job title. Like I just do a little bit of everything. So yeah, looking
Oh, you
back,
mean like something not to be taken
yeah,
seriously?
they did not
Oh,
take it
right.
seriously.
Yeah, that's so true.
Like if you just say to someone like I'm entrepreneurship, that means like, oh yeah, you're like
You
probably
don't
like
you don't have a real
yeah, you
job.
don't have a real job. You just do a bit of everything, but
I
nothing at the same time.
I guess now entrepreneurship is seen as like the cool thing to do, but back then it was like what people who didn't really know what they were doing in life was doing.
Like no one thought it was cool to be entrepreneur or business owner back when we were in school. It wasn't the traditional route. It wasn't like the cool job to have. But I think with the emergence of social media, like entrepreneurship has become really trendy. Like everybody wants to be seen as like a business owner because it's like the cool thing to do.
When I was younger, like I wasn't like the typical stories that entrepreneurs share where they're
Yeah.
like, I was washing my neighbor's
Cars, yeah.
cars
I
and
was mowing their
I
lawns.
started my first business when I was 5 years old. It's like, no, I was not doing any of that. So again, it was just not even a thought in my head where I thought, yeah, I could start a business one day. It just seems so impossible almost.
Yeah, it was impossible. And also, we always thought we need a lot of funding, a lot of money. You need connections. You needed to have someone that you knew in real life that actually had a business so you can learn from them or, get advice from. It was just something that we aspire to be in the long term, like in the long run future.
Yeah, it was like after we get our stable jobs, then we can,
Save up money
yeah,
to start a business. Which now that is completely not the case. People start the business with like a couple of hundred quid, which anyone can do if they save up money. So it is very accessible now. The barrier entry is very low, in my opinion.
anyone can start a business and it's okay to start small. You don't have to compare yourself to all of these multi-million like funded businesses and think, oh, like, it just sounds so unattainable to you if you come from a background that is nowhere near that. Like you said, it's never been easier to start a business now, especially with e-commerce. I think it is something that genuinely anyone can start a business. But let's move on to our MBTIs, Myers-Briggs personality test. We just did it an hour ago before this podcast. I just think it's interesting knowing what people's MBT MBTIs are because actually people say like it's not accurate or whatever, but I think it just gives it a little bit of an insight into people's personalities.
Hmm.
So, what is your MBTI?
My MBTI is INFP, which is the mediator. But yeah, I feel like that kind of suits me because I can't make decisions, but I like to be a little bit creative. I'm very emotional. Yeah. And what was yours?
Mine mine was INFJ.
Which is the advocate.
Yes,
And do
I
you
believe
think
so.
and do you think that is quite accurate?
Yes, I would say so. I'm 100% an introvert. That's very true. And the other aspects, I would say I'm very like 50-50. Like I score 50-50. So kind of depends. I think at different stages of your life, it changes as well. But for the most part, I think I am INFJ. But yeah, I wanted us to take that test because I think there is an archetype that is called the entrepreneur.
Oh, is
I'm pretty
there?
sure. Let me just fact check myself.
Let me guess. It's an E.
Of course, ESTP is
Oh.
the entrepreneur, action orientated, adaptable, charismatic nature, thrive in dynamic environments, enjoy taking calculated risk, and are adept at building relationships and leading teams.
Oh,
I,
okay. Yeah, I can see that.
so that's a very traditional definition of what an entrepreneur is. But I think in this ever evolving world,
Economic.
2025, you can be an entrepreneur too, whatever your personality is. Like, I genuinely believe anyone can be an entrepreneur. You don't have to, have that entrepreneur DNA or whatever people talk about. And yeah, there are traits that would make you a more successful entrepreneur. But I think everyone can start and run a small business and make a living and enjoy what they do, which I think for us is the ultimate goal.
This kind of links to like, oh, do you think entrepreneurs are made or do you think they're born? And what do you think? Are they made or are they born?
Nature versus
Yeah.
nurture. I think it can be both. I
Hmm.
think you could have that natural talent and, be 11 years old and do your lemonade stand, or you can grow up and, like us, watch YouTube, listen to podcasts, read books, and just learn as you go. And again, there are certain traits that make it easier for you to do any job. If you really want to be an entrepreneur, then you can work on it and you can do it.
But yeah, I think despite whether you're made or you're born entrepreneur, I feel like one trait that entrepreneurs definitely have is like an insane amount of drive.
Self drive,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just like I can see it anyone who has started a business or is running one. It's just, yeah, that insane amount of drive.
Self discipline and
Yeah.
determination. I think not being scared of failing.
Oh, yes. I think the biggest hurdle why people don't want to start a business, even though that they do have a desire to, is because they're scared of failing and they're scared of what their close friends and their family think about it. Because, yeah, probably 9 out of 10 times, people are not going to be supportive in your real life. And yeah, nobody wants to fail in public. Like, nobody wants to build a business and then feel like a failure. So that is the scary part of being an entrepreneur. But that drive got to outweigh the, what is it?
Your drive has to outweigh the fear
A
of
feeling.
failing.
Yeah. So I think that is the key takeaway. If you want it that bad, you can overcome anything.
Yes, hopefully what we've talked about
Was somewhat interesting.
was, yeah, mildly coherent. I really am like having amnesia right now. Like, what have we spoken about? But, anyways, okay, we're going to move on to talking about what has been going on my TikTok for you page this week, which is
Hub's Life drama. If you haven't heard, there's a TikToker named Hub's Life, and he built a huge following showcasing his 9 to 5 lifestyle that everyone found relatable. And recently, he just quit his job, and people are not happy with it for him pursuing his, what is it? He's now an influencer
yeah, he's
full
like
time.
self-employed
Yes.
and working on his TikTok. I mean, I guess he's getting, he's making a living off of sponsorships as well as his TikTok now. And I think I was very surprised at the amount of backlash that I saw because I kept seeing TikToks of people and mostly men reacting to it in a very negative way. I can't say I've really ever watched Hub's Life's content before, but I did recognize him and his laptop, when he
A slow edit of putting him. It's not a slow edit, it's real life. It's him slowly putting the laptop inside his bag. But I'm very familiar with Hub's life. I've been with him since he still had his 9 to 5 job. And I was kind of surprised that people didn't know he quit his job. To me, it was very obvious that he quit his job and he was just going to a WeWork office and having that schedule for him because I think he likes his disciplined schedule. Nothing wrong with that. But like you mentioned, I've never seen a guy get completely shat on
Like
and
men trying to cancel another man before, well, obviously it's happened, but
not to
it's
this extent.
it's very common to see women getting backlash from other women and from other men as well. And that typical pipeline of someone working in a corporate job to becoming an influencer, and then people kind of saying, like, oh, you're a sellout, like, you're doing too many brand sponsorships, stuff like that. I feel like that's very common with women influencers. I guess women take up more of that influencer space, so I think the main thing I got from the backlash he was getting is that people thought he was fake. He was profiting off of kind of promoting 9 to 5 and saying it's cool to do a 9 to 5 job, like, especially in a climate where entrepreneurship and social media influencers are they considered cool? I don't know. It's like people always start off on social media sharing the 9 to 5 jobs, and then when they quit, people don't find it relatable, I suppose, is the issue. And also, there was like him asking for gifts on TikTok Live or whatever. I'm not too sure what was happening there, but I was quite shocked to see the backlash, to be honest. It was just people making their think piece videos on it, and that was really interesting.
Yeah, I think the reason why there's so much backlash against him is because his whole branding was to normalize the 9 to 5 lifestyle, and he has explicitly said that he enjoys working 9 to 5 and he doesn't really like the entrepreneurship route. But I guess, people are allowed to change their minds. So I think in a way, if you had the choice of whether to work a 9 to 5 or to have your own business and be self-employed, I think a lot of people would take being their own boss if they don't find their job fulfilling.
Yes, that's the number one thing. If they
Yes.
don't find their job fulfilling, or I don't know, I think everyone is different. I don't think everyone, just like how everyone doesn't enjoy 9 to 5 job, I don't think everyone would enjoy being an entrepreneur either. Like, everyone's different and everyone can do what they want. To end off the podcast, let's share what we're obsessed with right now.
So I'm obsessed with my electric scooter, which I got for my birthday. Yeah. So I've been loving that. And for the longest time, I thought people rented electric scooters because I see them everywhere when I'm driving to work. Like, I literally see like 5 electric scooters every day. And I think, oh my God, where are these people renting it from? Like, I need to know because I want to rent one and, you know,
This is what
scoot.
happens when you get old, because I don't know.
How we got that idea to
It's because when you're in like Paris or London, people do rent it out, like the e-bikes, the e-scooters, and that's where we've seen the e-scooters before. But then recently in our town, I feel like everyone has hopped on getting
electric
the
scooter.
electric scooters. So we were just thinking, oh, there must be like a business out here renting them out. But no, you gotta buy your own.
You have to
Or
buy your own scooter.
yeah,
So yeah, I asked for a scooter for my birthday. Actually, you just bought me one, actually. I didn't
I
even
just
ask
bought
for
it for
it.
you because every time you're driving and you're always like, oh wow, like
Yeah. Oh
that
wow,
looks
that looks so
fun.
fun. Like the wind
Or
in the
I don't know,
hair.
it's just very amusing
Yeah,
seeing people.
and like it's kind of like nostalgic. So I was like, wow, I loved it when you got me the electric scooter. So that
It
is my
is
obsession.
so much fun. It's like unlocking your inner
Child,
child,
yes.
I guess. But what am I obsessed with? I'm obsessed with, well, I haven't really been playing it that much because I haven't had the time, but I am obsessed with this game. Also very nostalgic, but it's called like The Island. It's like an iPhone game. I'm an iPad kid now.
It's like a survival game. So if you watch Lost, it is kind of similar to that. Like it's on an island and you get to hunt, you get to pick your fruit, and there's lots of little missions that you do throughout the day, and it's really fun.
I don't know, I just remember playing this game on my parents' old Motorola phone. It was like a game similar to that. This sounds really lame, but I don't know. Try it out if you like. If you're an iPad kid too, then try it out. You might enjoy it. But anyway, that's the end of this episode, and we hope you enjoyed listening to it. Please subscribe, follow, do all the things, and see you next week for our next episode. Bye.